Hey everybody, it's Kyle here again with 80.3 Gunsmithing, and in this video we are looking at a very big optic do not. You looked at optics do, how to actually put a scope on a rifle in a previous video. If you follow that procedure start to finish, you will not have any problems. Most people don't. Sometimes you get a used gun, and gun owners oftentimes think that they're gunsmiths, or they hear crazy ideas at the club or at the hunt camp, and they think, oh, I'm going to try that. Don't try it. If you hear an idea of somebody at the club, or run it past a gunsmith. Send me an email and say, or a message or whatever, and say, hey Kyle, I heard somebody say this. Is that something I should try? And I'll say, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Or I'll say, yeah, no, you don't want to do that, because then it's going to get expensive to repair. Okay, a message like that, no charge for advice. That being said, the customer has a Remington 742 carbine in 30-06 that he wanted to do a touch-up bluing on the receiver. And so I took the optic off, and that was no problem. And then I went to take the scope base off, the rail that was on top of the receiver. And I had extreme difficulty trying to get the screws out. To such a point where I thought, if I keep going, I'm going to shear the screws off, and I don't want to do that. So what I did was I thought, okay, somebody's put LocTite on it. You don't have to do it, but people still do. And I took a soldering iron, and I touched the soldering iron to the top of the screw to let the screw get hot. And then again, I attempted to remove the screw and found that it was not really any easier than before. So I thought, oh no, something is really wrong here. I better put a little more heat on it. So I took the soldering torch and I put the open flame on the top of the screw. And at that point, I was able to, after a minute of flame on the screw, I was able to remove the screws. And when I did, I saw something that kind of made me go, ugh. If you see the screw right where it's probably not going to focus on the camera's probably not going to focus, but right where the head of the screw meets the shank, there is a bit of a plasticky brown residue. And I suspect that it's crazy glue. And if there is one thing that you don't put anywhere on a gun at any time for any reason, it's crazy glue. Do not use crazy glue. Had that been on the ring, the customer could have had a problem. If you find yourself in a situation where you've done the soldering iron to try and soften up LocTite on a scope ring, and you are not able to get it off, you need to call a gunsmith, because you cannot put direct heat on any component that's in direct contact with the scope, because that will heat up, which will heat up the scope, and then you will melt the seals inside the scope. And then if your scope is nitrogen purged, it will leak out, and then you'll find as soon as the temperature changes that your lenses will fog up, and you'll start getting moisture inside the scope, and it will no longer be serviceable. So if you can't get it out through normal means, call a gunsmith. If it's on the receiver and the optic has already been removed, then you're okay to put heat on it. You're not really going to hurt anything. So that is a very big do not use crazy glue anywhere on a gun for any reason.